This time we'll try the Gunny shortcut. Maybe. It's a bit slippery. Oh, god damn. Tile's just doing its own thing. I'd say there haven't been too many vehicles through here lately. Plenty of traction though, because there's still that blue metal on the ground. So I'm not too concerned at this point. Well, there's traction where there's blue metal on the ground. It gets greasy when there isn't. Ridiculous. Alright, we'll just try. Okay, well, might get better. Then again, it might not. That's getting overgrown, so I might just back up here a little. This is where you need someone else with you. Okay. So that might not have been the smartest move. When something says track and shortcut out here in Victoria's forests in the middle of winter, it's not always the smartest thing to take it unprepared. Okay. With the greasiness, I really don't trust the ABS at that point. Just gonna have to do it all manual. This is all pretty good, really. I just don't know what I'm getting myself into later further up, that's all. Pretty much the end of it, I think. Look at that. I really should put the drone up, but I'm frightened I'll lose it. Go back onto Morwell River Road. We're still on Morwell River Road, and it's beautiful and lush up this top end. guessing I've got to be close to Grand Ridge Road now. Man, did I pick that? Make myself a cup of tea, hey? Sitting out here. I'm at the top of Morwell River Road, just as it joins Grand Ridge Road, just over there. Tea bag. And I was going to talk about some of the other things I've done to my bike. It's probably going to be a bit hard to see now with all the mud on it. I never really spoke about the exhaust pipe. This is the SC Projects exhaust. Yeah, they're not cheap, but this one's all titanium. It removes the cat. It hasn't been tuned at this point, but I'm not real heavy fisted most of the time anyway, so I'll just have to wait until Victoria's out of lockdown before I can take it to a tuner and try and get it tuned. The beauty of this one is, being all titanium and so light, it drops the weight of the bike by about 5.1 kilos. So that's quite a significant drop, and combined with a few other things like the battery and slightly lighter wheels, removing the pillion pegs and so on, it's down under 200, even with a heavier bash plate, heavier foot pegs, better mirrors and heavier mirrors and all that sort of guff on there as well. So under 200 is pretty good. Oh yeah, and even with the rack, this rack is the B&B sort of, I'll call it an Enduro rack. This is the small rack for the Tenere, and it's 1.1 kilos without the handles, and the handles probably only, you know, a couple hundred grams. So you'd be under 1.5 kilos for the rack. And I'll show you the new airbox in a moment when I get to that. So that airbox is the version that my son's selling now, and it fits, as I'll show you, it fits the 4-inch Unifilter prefilter, which is gives it, I believe, a lot better, a lot freer airflow than even just the standard air filter on its own. So you've got the benefit of the pre-filter and the MWR main filter without any performance loss, which is a good outcome. I'm very much looking forward to see what T7 Rally do with their fuel tanks. They're going to offer a 10-litre fuel tank which sits underneath these panels here somewhere and doesn't take up any more space or interfere with anything. So that would be good to see. What I really like about that idea is that it puts the weight bias, apart from being very low, it's also to the back. And for the kind of riding that I would want this bike to perform in, I suppose that's the best way to put it, because I still do a fair bit of these trails, these, you know, road-like trails, where it doesn't really matter. But if I get into mud, or if I get into ruts in particular, trying to keep the weight off the front so you can get your front wheel out of the road if you have to, but also in particular for sand, I want it to be able to perform at those particular points. So hence, get the weight back, keep it low is good if I ever have to pick it up. I have once, I've dropped it once, and I've practiced picking it up a few times as well. So what else have I done that I haven't mentioned? Oh, I've got a little titanium nut on the back axle, and you might laugh, you think it's just bling, but in actual fact it's not. One of the issues with the Yamaha back axle and the axle nut is that they torque up so tight. They've got some weird locking mechanism built into the nut, and it means to get it undone you've got to put a hell of a pressure on it. And so your normal tool, when you're at home, you've got big long levers and you can do it real easy. But when you're out in the bush, trying to get that torqued up correctly is not that easy, neither to torque it up or to undo it again. So with this little titanium nut on the rear axle, it's just got a little locking pin, so you can, all the torque you put into it is torque on the axle, and then you just lock it up with a little Allen key just to lock it in place, and that's a much better outcome than the standard one. I've got a few other things planned for the bike, but I'm not going to really talk too much about them at this stage. You'll notice I'm still using the standard handguards, and there's a reason for that. It's because I'm looking, rather than buying a set of handguards, I'm looking to build a reinforcement horn, if you like, inner horn on the inside of the guard out of Kevlar and epoxy, just to reinforce the existing guard. And it won't go all the way around, it'll just go, you know, like a corner, but be incredibly strong. You know, it'll be probably 4mm thick, you know, 15 layers of Kevlar epoxy, you know, compressed a little, just on the inside of the existing guard. And I think that will stop the guard from being able to snap under impact, and also protect your hands. That's the idea anyway.
Yeah, something else I'll mention is I'm looking to replace this rear rotor. I may have mentioned it in my previous chat. I've just measured a few things up this morning on my MT-09, and it's got the same size rotor on the back of that. So, and that brake on the MT-09 went from being pretty average to absolutely awesome just by changing the rotor to a Chinese rotor. So I'm going to try that on this one, see how much difference it makes. My guess is it'll make a huge difference, and it'll improve the braking balance front and rear. Oh, that's right. That's something I just haven't mentioned. Might bring the tripod over here. Not sure how well we'll see it. Okay, just in here. Get that out of the way. Is a little rubber pad. This is something that I've mentioned on one or two of the forums, and it sits between the screen tower and essentially the dash fascia, and it wedges itself in there, and it stops the vibration. It stops the vibration of the dash, and it stops, apparently, haven't really noticed myself, stops the vibration of the headlight as well. So I think you can see that, this intake in here. Now this is it's a Unifilter 4-inch filter for 4-wheel drive, as it turns out. It's just a snorkel filter, and it sits on top of my son's homemade or 3D printed new filter cover. So if I can just pop that off, there's a trick to it. I'm not doing the trick very well at the moment. There we go. So there's the intake. It's really quite large, and this is the filter, normal little 4-inch pre-filter that goes on. My son's supplying them with an adjustable, or like a reusable cable tie. So we'll just pop that back on. And normally I don't do it this way, but it's easy enough, I think. Just got to get it over that lip. put that around the corner a bit more. There we go. Just like that. So that's now well and truly on there, and I'm all greasy. And the surface area of that is humongous compared to you know, any other options that I've seen to this point. It's really just the Unifilter, small little 2.5 inch filter for this pre-filter. But the combination of this very large pre-filter, the MWR main filter inside, and my son's big open snorkel arrangement that this sits on, allows it to breathe, you know, I think better than even just the standard filter on its own. And that, apart from the sound of course, I think is going to protect the engine better, and it also reduces or eliminates that hesitation that you get if you restrict this too much. I know if I use the standard filter with the standard snorkel and a Unifilter pre-filter, it is way too restrictive, and you can really feel it. It gives this big hesitation. You've got to turn the throttle more and more and more, and then all of a sudden, woof, it goes. And that hesitation is annoying. Whereas this doesn't have that at all. It's buttery smooth. So what we should be able to see here is the Oxford controller. Now, this piece here that it mounts on is actually, I reversed it. It's bent completely opposite, and I drilled a fresh hole. So now that sits nicely right alongside them. The controls here, and I've popped the headlight controller, spotlight controller, just here. I've kept it separate from the main electronics of the bike. It's only because we've seen a few people having some issues with their circuitry for their headlight, and I just figure I'll play it safe from a warranty point of view, from a reliability point of view. I don't want to do anything that's going to trigger the standard electronics of the bike to fuck up. So play it safe, keep it separate. It's a completely separate circuit, nothing to do with the rest of the electronics except where it joins at the battery. One of the viewers of my channel was asking about the pyramid fender extender, and how I've had no trouble with it to date. It's been very, very good. Helps to keep the mud to a minimum. You can see a little bit building there on the pipe, but that's about where it draws a line, which is really good. Otherwise it would be all up in here if you just ran the standard guard without that. And a question that was put to me was, you know, how did I fit it? Well, I just used the recommended method. It comes with double-sided sticky pads. It comes with little tiny rivets, little plastic rivets. So I prepped the surface of both parts, put the double-sided sticky pads on, stuck them together, drilled the 4 holes for the 4 plastic rivets, and put the little rivets in, and it's held perfectly. I haven't had any problem. I do suspect though that if I got a big hit from a stick or a giant rock or something, it might do some damage, because you can see there's a bit of movement there. So if there was to be any anything solid hit it, it might be a problem. Especially this guard. The guards on the Tenere are fairly fragile. I'd actually love to make a mold of these and make some Kevlar ones. Seat goes on easy enough. It just presses that like so, and you still got the full surface area of the filter pretty much to so it doesn't get blocked. All right.
nothing better this time of year, getting out into the forest. I do feel sorry for you guys that are all in lockdown at the moment in Victoria, in and around Melbourne. I'm just out of the lockdown zone, so I can get out here as part of my recreational exercise. And it is refreshing to get out into the forest. It's just beautiful.
All right. So at the top of Morwell River Road, where it joins Grand Ridge Road, looks like a bit of rain coming past there. Otherwise, beautiful day. Okay. Not left anything behind. Not that I can see.